This is the largest meat processing plant in the world. They employ over 4,800 people, close to 5,000 people to date.
Smithfield is a colossal Goliath, behemoth, giant.
Some of our state policymakers decided that there wasn't much else to do with southeastern North Carolina but sort of provide cheap labor and cheap land and vulnerable resources and invite the hog industry to come in.
Smithfield doesn't care about people. The main thing is to get that hog out the door.
We have no say, we have no power, and the way they can just fire you if you get injured.
They treat people like dogs, you know what I'm saying? And they just don't care. They care more about the meat than they care about the people.
Smithfield Foods is a box full of atrocities, as far as I'm concerned.
I wrote the Human Rights Watch report titled Blood, Sweat, and Fear. The Smithfield plant in Tar Heel was probably the major case study in this report because it captured so many of the abuses and violations that take place against workers.
Muchos de los supervisores les dirigen hasta insultos verbales a los trabajadores.
The things they do to people, the degradation.
Tienes que pedirle permiso para ir al baño con los supervisores. Si no está el supervisor, para eso está el mayordomo. Si mientras que nadie está, no puedes ir al baño.
When I used to walk in there every morning, you can feel the tension, you can feel the fear.
They are notorious for creating these race wars, where they pit the blacks against the Latinos and the Latinos against the blacks. And they use that to divide and conquer.
Nadie dice nada porque toda la gente tiene miedo a perder su trabajo.
It's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment to our community. It's an embarrassment to our state.
These jobs in these meatpacking plants are physically demanding. It's grueling work. It wears a person down. It wears a body down.
In that casing department, you get wet, and it's the one you don't have anymore. You have on some boots that goes right to here, but still you're standing in water, then your hands in water, and you got something on your head. It's just a terrible place to work.
Repetitive motion, just constantly the same movement, time and time again for 8 to 10 hours a day.
I started in the plant on the cut floor, ham line, with a Wizard knife, a 13-inch Wizard knife. My hand would be like this at the end of the night, and you have to pry it away like that.
And they keep that line speed moving fast enough to where you got to keep up with it.
I was cutting 43 pieces of meat a minute. Non-stop. My back ate, legs ate. Yeah, my hands used to lock up, and I used to have to run warm water just to be able to open my hands.
The job started out fine until they started speeding up the machine.
Once the line speed changed, then safety went out the door.
Cuando me golpeé fue que me estaba partiendo unas piezas de chuletas en una sierra eléctrica. Ese trabajo es rápido, entonces yo lo que hizo es sacar la pieza más rápido, pero lo que pues no pudo sacarle más rápido. Lo que pasa se atravesó mi mano, fue pegado de la sierra. Perdí mucha sangre, dijeron las enfermeras, no, se va a desmayar, te perdió mucha sangre.
If you were injured bad enough, the company will get rid of you.
I talked to dozens of workers at the Smithfield Tar Heel plant who had visible physical signs of injury, scars, missing fingers, welts, and rashes and so on. And they told me they had never reported these injuries because they were afraid that if they did, the company would find a way to fire them.
I was in the locker room changing my clothes, getting ready for work. And somebody, I don't know, they say that somebody was playing or something in there, but they hit the lockers. The lockers, like 15 lockers, fell on my back and I was trapped under. I was on medical leave and I was taking my doctor's notes. And so they told me, said, you're terminated. You don't have to bring us no more notes.
Intuitively, people that hear what's going on find it repulsive and embarrassing and not to be tolerated. Most people go to work don't have company police harassing them.
Smithfield actually created a company police force with state police powers to arrest and detain people and to transport people to the county jail and so on. In the last couple of years, the company changed the name of the special police, the company police force. They reverted to a company security group, but they're still doing the same kind of thing, the same kind of aggressive intimidation of workers.
Queremos la unión porque ahora la compañía no nos respeta. Ya con la unión, la compañía nos va a respetar.
They want a voice to speak for them because they have no voice.
You would have somebody that would have your back instead of always somebody to have the company's back. So if we had a union, we could have somebody that we could go through that would go to them and it would mean something to us. Otherwise, we have nothing to fight with.
We need the union to come in to help us because it can't get any worse.
I think a union would be the best thing for Smithfield.
I work at the Farmland Foods plant in Denison, Iowa. We're a subsidiary of Smithfield Foods. We've been a union plant since the 60s. When I hear about the way people are treated in the Tar Heel plant, it upsets me. I think if the people in Tar Heel were allowed to organize, the company would have to respect their wishes. The company would have to show them the dignity that they deserve.
Nosotros en Denison, Iowa tenemos unión, cosa que nos ha ayudado mucho, estamos bien. Pero ya me imagino los compañeros de Tar Heel, lo que están viviendo, lo que está pasando dentro de la planta, que ellos no se han podido organizar, no tienen unión dentro de la planta.
The irony is that in other locations, Smithfield respects the choice of its workers to have union representation and has a normal collective bargaining relationship. But in Tar Heel, Smithfield has launched the most outrageous and egregious campaign of human rights abuses to prevent workers from exercising this basic right of association and collective bargaining.
The sole purpose for Smithfield Packing Company locating in Tar Heel was because of the fact that there are low wages here and there are no unions.
The company has a very strong stand that they definitely don't want a union. And they're going to do everything that they can to keep a union out.
During the course of everything that was going on between the union and the company trying to keep the union out, the company and their team of attorneys came up with a plan. We were told, intimidate employees, threaten employees.
From the day I got out there, they were talking about the union, but it was hush-hush, you know. A lot of people are scared when you say something about it.
They used to call meetings, and they told us, you know, don't vote for the union. Then they have the crew leader come around individually and saying, well, we got, you know, the big man say to tell y'all, you know, don't vote for a union, you vote for a union. They find out about it and you lose your job.
We made their lives miserable. It got to the point that we had employees that worked for me, hourly employees, spying on their fellow employees, their co-workers.
Well, they wouldn't come right out and say it, but they would get rid of the ones that they knew that was deeply involved with the union.
2 days prior to the union election, I was called downstairs by the company attorney. The company attorney proceeded to ask me if a certain employee was mine, that if she worked for me. This employee was real vocal and outspoken in her union support. He looked me in the face and proceeded to tell me, fire the bitch.
Managers told union supporters prior to the election that we're going to give you a real ass whipping, and you just wait to see what happens on the day of the election. And on the day of the election, management orchestrated a physical assault on the union supporters.
When the vote was tallied, it was a madhouse. It was a madhouse. The company started screaming and they started using racial slurs. Excuse my language, my mom will get upset at this, but niggers get out, go home, get the Out, no, on and on and on.
The gross mistreatment and injustice that the workers are having to deal with is eerily reminiscent of the days of Jim Crow in the 1960s when people were brutalized and beaten because they sought to stand up for what they believed in and stand up for what their rights were.
In the climate of fear and intimidation that was created by the company's tactics, it was really impossible for the workers to prevail in a fair election. It was impossible to hold a fair election under those circumstances.
Fuimos y le planteamos el problema a recursos humanos, que las líneas iban muy duro, que no había seguridad.
Lo que pasó, que se cansaron los morenos, americanos, mexicanos.
No, dice. Eso va a ser todo el tiempo así, dice, y tienen que hacerlo, dice, y si no pueden, dice, pueden salirse de este trabajo, dice.
Buscamos a la unión, le pedimos una hoja, nos las entregó.
Digo, pues no nos vamos a ir hasta que nos oigan, le digo, porque no podemos.
Nos íbamos a parar en la entrada de la planta y detener a nuestros compañeros y explicarles que ya era hora de que paráramos ese tipo de abusos. La compañía, con policías de la Smithfield, empezaron a buscar las personas que ellos creían que habían hecho la huelga y los empezaron a corretear dentro de la planta, golpeándolos, jalándolos, diciéndole a la demás gente que no tenía nada que ver, que si se salía, que afuera estaba migración, que se los iba a llevar.
Nosotros los trabajadores dentro de la planta estamos luchando por nuestro respeto, pero necesitamos ayuda.
So I'm a former worker for Smithfield, and what I'm doing is helping the Smithfield for Justice campaign. What I'm doing is trying to get the message out to the public about the conditions at Smithfield. We need some justice out there. They need a contract.
The employees need a voice. They need someone that will stand up for them.
These things aren't changed without outside pressure. Let me quote Martin Luther King. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
What's really at stake here are basic human rights. The right to organize, the right to associate with each other, the right to bargain, the right to have healthy and safe working conditions. We want to bring home to the public that these are basic human rights that are at risk at the Smithfield plant.
For every piece of bacon that is produced by Smithfield that is eaten by an American in Wisconsin or in Utah or elsewhere around the country, we are supporting the mistreatment of these people in Tar Heel, North Carolina. So we've got to do a better job as a community of conscience of spreading our message that the pork from Smithfield is not pork that we want to digest.
I think it is a highly immoral institution, and we are putting the muscle of the Council of Churches behind the campaign of the workers to change how that place operates.
We're standing together. All of the workers are standing together. We need everyone out there to stand together and help us.
I'm prepared to stand up and tell all my union brothers and sisters that we all work for Smithfield Foods. If they can treat our union decently in our location, they should be able to treat the people in Tar Heel decently as well.
Nunca vamos a ser vencidos, por eso se llama unión, porque queremos estar todos unidos, ayudarnos uno con el otro.
I am certainly committed to bringing justice and healing and hope to the workers there at Smithfield. I hope that people everywhere will join with me and the thousands of employees there at Smithfield who want justice and are willing to stand up and sacrifice for it.
Wherever injustice rears its ugly head, I want to be a witness, and I think you ought to be one too.
Únete a nosotros para lograr una victoria.